The spaceship came down from the sky on a Tuesday morning in late summer. It was not a small ship. It was big and silver and shaped like a flat disk, and it made no sound at all as it floated down through the clouds. The ship stopped above the green rice fields of a small farming village in the southern part of Korea, and it hung there in the air like it was thinking about what to do next. Park was 67 years old. He had been a farmer his whole life, just like his father and his grandfather before him. He had seen many things in his years. He had seen floods that destroyed entire harvests. He had seen winters so cold that the pipes in his house broke. He had seen his country change from poor to rich, from old to modern. But he had never seen anything like this silver disk in the sky above his rice fields. He stood at the edge of his field with a hoe in his hand. His back was bent from decades of work. His skin was dark and rough from the sun. His hands were thick with hard skin from years of holding tools. He looked up at the ship with his eyes half closed against the morning light, and he did not run. He did not scream. He simply watched and waited. The bottom of the ship opened, and a smaller vehicle came out. It was like a metal egg, and it floated down slowly until it landed in the dirt road between the rice fields. The door of the egg opened, and creatures came out. They were tall, taller than any human had ever seen. Their bodies were covered in hard shells that looked like the shells of beetles. Their heads were large, with big eyes that had many small parts like the eyes of insects. They had 4 arms each, and their legs bent backwards at the knee. They wore silver clothing that looked like metal but moved like cloth. The first creature stepped forward. It held a small device in one of its 4 hands. When it spoke, the words came out in Korean, though its mouth did not move the right way for the sounds it was making. "Human, we are from the Galactic Council. We come in peace. Do not be afraid." Looked at the creature. He looked at the other creatures behind it. He looked at the metal egg and the big ship still floating in the sky. Then he looked back at the first creature. "Are you lost?" he asked. "The main road is about 2 kilometers that way." He pointed with his hoe toward the east. The creature seemed confused. It looked at the device in its hand, then back at, "You do not run, you do not fear us." Shrugged his old shoulders. "Should I? You said you come in peace. Are you lying?" "No, we do not lie. We are here to study your species." Ah nodded slowly, "Like scientists." "Yes, like scientists." Thought about this for a moment. The sun was getting higher, and he still had much work to do before noon. But these creatures had come a long way, it seemed. It would be rude to send them away with nothing. "Have you eaten?" he asked. The creature, whose name was Commander, did not know how to answer this question. In all his years of making first contact with new species, no one had ever asked if he had eaten. Usually there was screaming. Sometimes there was running. Often there were weapons, but never this. "We do not require food at this moment," said carefully. "Nonsense. Everyone needs to eat. Come, my wife makes good barley tea, and we have some rice cakes left from yesterday." Turned and began walking toward his farmhouse, not looking back to see if the aliens would follow. Looked at his team. There was Lieutenant, the medical officer, and science officer Krill, and 4 security guards with weapons that could destroy a small building. None of them knew what to do. "Commander," whispered, "this is not in the protocol. He should be afraid. Our analysis of human broadcasts indicated that humans fear unknown entities." "I know what the analysis said," replied. "But the analysis appears to be wrong. We follow him, we observe, we learn." They followed the old farmer down the dirt path toward a small house with a blue roof. The house was old but clean. There were vegetable gardens on both sides, and chickens walked freely in the yard. A dog lay sleeping in the shade of a tree. It opened one eye to look at the aliens, decided they were not interesting, and went back to sleep. A young woman came out of the house. She was maybe 22 or 23 years old with short black hair and glasses. She wore simple clothes, a t-shirt and shorts, and she was looking at her phone when she stepped outside. She looked up, saw the aliens, and stopped. Grandfather, she said slowly, those are. Yes, yes, said. Aliens, they are scientists, they want to study us. I invited them for tea. The young woman blinked several times. Then she put her phone in her pocket and bowed politely to the aliens. Welcome to our home. I am Lee. I am studying biology at university. This is very unexpected. Felt something strange. On most planets, first contact was a moment of great tension and fear. But here, on this small farm in this small country on this small planet, a young human was bowing to him and welcoming him to her home. He did not understand these creatures at all. An older woman appeared in the doorway. She was short and round, with gray hair tied back in a simple style. She looked at the aliens with wide eyes for only a moment. Then her face changed into something warm. "Oh my," said Park's wife of 43 years. "We have guests. Please come inside. You must be tired from your journey. How far did you travel? Never mind, you can tell me while I make tea. Get the good cups, the ones we use for holidays." Followed the humans into the small farmhouse, his security team close behind. The house smelled like food and earth and something sweet. There were pictures on the walls of family members, going back many generations. The furniture was old but comfortable. He sat down on a floor cushion, his long legs folding awkwardly beneath him. Brought tea and small cakes and dried fruit and nuts. She kept bringing more food even when said they had enough. "Nonsense," she said, exactly as her husband had said. "Guests must eat. It is the rule." Looked at his team. They were all sitting on the floor, holding cups of tea, surrounded by a family of humans who treated them like neighbors who had stopped by for a visit. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. But perhaps this was better. After the tea and the rice cakes, Commander explained why his team had come to Earth. The Galactic Council was a group of many different species from many different planets. They worked together, traded with each other, and helped each other. But before any new species could join the Council, they had to be tested. "We must understand your species," said. "We must know what you fear. We must know how you react to danger. This is important for the safety of everyone in the Council." Park listened quietly. He was sitting on the floor with his legs crossed, his teacup held in both hands. His wife was sitting next to him, and his granddaughter was across from the aliens, her eyes bright with interest. "So you want to scare us?" asked, "to see how we react?" "Not exactly," said. "We want to show you things that are dangerous. We want to measure your body's response, your heart rate, your stress hormones, your brain activity. This tells us how your species handles fear." "And why is this important?" asked. "Because in space there are many dangers. Some species are too afraid to function. They freeze. They panic. They cannot work with others. Some species are not afraid enough. They take stupid risks. They endanger everyone around them. We need to know where humans fall on this scale." Nodded slowly. This made sense to him. Before you work with someone, you need to know what kind of person they are. He had hired many workers over the years for harvest season. He always watched them carefully in the first few days to see how they handled problems. "Very well," said. "Show us your tests." Gave orders to his team. Lieutenant set up a small device on the floor. It projected light into the air, creating pictures that looked completely real. Science Officer Krill attached small sensors to the arms and these sensors would measure everything happening in their bodies. "We will begin with creatures from your own planet," explained. "Earth has many dangerous animals. We have studied them carefully." The first image appeared in the air. It was a snake. Not a small garden snake, but a large, brown snake with scales that looked like dry leaves. It was coiled up, ready to strike. "This," announced, "is the inland taipan. It lives in Australia. It is the most venomous snake on your planet." The hologram showed the snake striking forward. Its mouth opened wide, showing long fangs that dripped with poison. Text appeared next to the image. One bite contains enough venom to kill 100 adult humans. Watched the humans carefully, studied the readings on her device. The security guards stood ready, their weapons powered up in case the humans panicked and became violent. This was a common reaction during fear assessments. Leaned forward, pushing her glasses up on her nose. Oh, this is interesting. I wrote a research paper about taipan venom last semester. Did you know that scientists are studying it to make new medicines? The proteins in the venom could help treat blood clots. Checked her readings twice. The young human's heart rate had increased slightly, but this was not fear. It was excitement, interest, like a child seeing a new toy. Barely looked at the snake. He sipped his tea and glanced at the image. Looks like the ones we get near the chicken coop, but bigger. You have similar snakes here? Asked. Of course. Snakes are everywhere in the countryside. They come for the rats. The rats come for the grain. It is the circle of life. Shrugged as if this was the most obvious thing in the world. Nodded. I do not like snakes. They surprise me sometimes when I work in the garden, but they run away when they see people. Mostly. Signaled for the next image. A different snake appeared. This one was black and fast and angry. It was chasing a human who was running through tall grass. The black mamba said, "From Africa, it can move at 20 kilometers per hour. Its venom kills within hours. It is known to chase humans." Watched with interest. I have read about these. They are not actually aggressive usually. They only chase when they feel trapped. Most snake attacks happen because the snake is scared. The snake is scared, repeated. He could not believe what he was hearing. The deadly snake is scared of humans. Of course, humans are much bigger. We are strange and loud. Most animals are afraid of us, even the dangerous ones. Did not know how to respond to this. He showed more images. A king cobra with its hood spread wide, a ferdilance from South America, a death adder from Australia. Each time the humans watched with mild interest but no fear. Finally, showed an image of a small brown and tan snake with diamond patterns on its back. This is the, he said, also called the Korean pit viper. It is native to this region. It has killed humans in this very country. Surely this inspires appropriate caution. Finally set down his teacup. He looked at the image for a long moment. Then he rolled up the sleeve of his left arm. The skin there was old and weathered, but there were 3 distinct scars. They were small, round, and slightly raised. I know the very well, said. We have met several times. Nearly dropped her scanner. She stared at the scars, then at the old man, then at her readings. Her voice was high and strange when she spoke. Those scars, are those from snake bites? Yes. From venomous snakes? Yes, 3 times on this arm, maybe 4. It was a long time ago, hard to remember exactly. Felt his compound eyes go wide. He looked at his team. They all looked back at him with the same shocked expression. You were bitten by venomous snakes multiple times, said slowly, making sure he understood correctly. And you survived. Of course I survived. I am sitting here, am I not? But how? The venom should have killed you. Looked confused by this question. He glanced at his wife, then back at the alien. I went to the clinic. The doctor gave me medicine. It hurt for a few days. My arm swelled up like a melon, but then it got better. This is normal. Nodded in agreement. The first time I was very worried, I cried, but the doctor said many farmers get bitten. It happens. Now I do not cry anymore. I just drive him to the clinic and wait. Added, Korea has good antivenom. If you get treatment quickly, the survival rate is very high. Most people who die from snake bites are people who live far from hospitals or who do not seek treatment. Sat in silence. He had visited hundreds of planets. He had assessed hundreds of species. Never in all his years had he met a species that treated deadly snake bites as a minor inconvenience, an annoyance, something that just happens and then you go to the clinic and continue with your life. How many times, asked carefully, have you been bitten by venomous snakes in total? Thought about this. He rolled up his right pants leg, showing 2 more small scars on his ankle. 5 times, maybe 6. There was one time I am not sure if it was or just a water snake, but it hurt a lot, so probably. Looked at Krill. Krill looked at the security guards. The security guards looked at the old farmer who had survived at least 5 venomous snake bites and was now calmly pouring himself more tea. I think, said quietly, we need to reconsider our understanding of humans. Commander needed answers. The fear assessment was not going the way it should. No species in the history of the Galactic Council had ever reacted to deadly predators with such calmness. He decided to ask more questions. Tell me about the first time, said Tu. The first time you were bitten by a venomous snake. What happened? Leaned back and scratched his chin. His eyes looked far away, remembering something from long ago. I was young then, maybe 25 years old. I was working in the rice fields, same as always. It was planting season and I was standing in the water up to my knees. I felt something hit my leg. I thought maybe a fish had bumped me. But then I looked down and saw the snake swimming away. Blood was coming from my ankle. What did you do? I finished planting that row first. Then I walked home and told my mother. She looked at the bite and said it was. She wrapped my leg in cloth and my father drove me to the clinic on his motorcycle. Made a strange sound. You finished planting the row after being bitten by a venomous snake. The row was almost done. Only a few more plants. It would have been a waste to leave it unfinished. Shook his head slowly. He could not understand this thinking. A venomous bite was an emergency. Every second mattered. But this human had stopped to finish his work first. The second time, continued, I was cutting grass for the cows. I did not see the snake hiding in the grass. It bit my hand. That one hurt very much. My whole arm turned purple and swelled up. I could not use it for 2 weeks. My wife had to do most of the work while I recovered. Nodded. That was a bad one. I was very angry at him. He should have worn gloves. Gloves are hot in summer, said, as if this explained everything. The third time. I was moving firewood. The snake was living under the wood pile. It bit me when I picked up the log it was hiding under. That one was fast. I did not even see it before it bit me. Had been listening quietly. Now she spoke up. Grandfather, you never told me it was that many times. Why did you not tell me? Looked at his granddaughter with a soft expression. Why would I tell you? It is not an interesting story. I got bit. I went to the clinic. I got better. This happens to many farmers. Your grandmother's brother was bitten 4 times. Old down the road, he was bitten 7 times before he died, though he died of old age, not snake bite. 7 times, repeated. He felt like he was in a dream, a strange, impossible dream. Some years are worse than others, explained. When the summer is very hot, more snakes come out. When there are many rats, there are many snakes following the rats. Farmers learn to be careful, but accidents happen. Was still looking at her scanner. Commander, I am getting very strange readings. The old human's body shows signs of repeated trauma, old injuries, healed fractures, scar tissue in multiple locations, chemical residue in his liver and kidneys from various toxins. By our standards, he should be in a medical facility. What do you mean? Asked. His body has been damaged many times, not just by snake bites. There are signs of broken bones that healed without proper treatment. There are signs of repeated exposure to agricultural chemicals. There are signs of extreme physical stress over many decades. His joints are worn down. His spine is curved. His heart shows signs of strain. Listen to this with a calm expression. Yes, farming is hard work. Everyone knows this. How do you function? Asked. Her voice was almost pleading. She could not understand what she was seeing. How do you get up every morning? How do you work in the fields? What choice do I have? Said simply. The rice does not plant itself. The vegetables do not harvest themselves. Work must be done, so I do it. But the pain. Pain comes and goes. You learn to live with it. Some mornings are harder than others. On hard mornings, I move slower. On easy mornings, I move faster, but I always move. Stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the rice fields stretching out toward the mountains. The fields were green and full and beautiful. He thought about how much work it took to make them that way. How much pain, how much danger. Do all humans live like this? He asked quietly. Answered, not all. Life in the cities is different, easier in some ways, harder in others, but rural people, farming people, yes, they are tough. They have to be. My father was tougher than me, said. He worked until he was 80 years old. He only stopped when his eyes got too bad to see the weeds, and his father was tougher than him. He survived the war, the famine, everything. He used to say that a man who stops working is a man who starts dying. Added her own story. My mother raised 6 children while working in the fields every day. She carried bobbies on her back while planting rice. She never complained. She said complaining does not change anything, so why waste the breath? Returned to his seat. He looked at this small family in this small house. They were not soldiers. They were not warriors. They were just farmers, just ordinary people living ordinary lives, but they were stronger than any species he had ever encountered. I want to understand something, said. The snake that bit you the first time, after you recovered, did you try to find it? Did you try to kill it? Shrugged, no, why would I? The snake was just being a snake. It was scared when I stepped near it. It defended itself. I would do the same if a giant stepped near me. You do not hate the snake. Hate a snake? That is like hating the rain for being wet. Snakes bite. Rain falls. The sun burns. These things just are. You cannot change them. You can only learn to live with them. Looked at Krill. Krill looked at. Something passed between them without words. They were all thinking the same thing. On most planets, species evolved to avoid danger. They developed fear responses that kept them away from predators. They ran. They hid. They built walls and weapons and traps. Fear kept them alive. But humans were different. Humans did not avoid danger. They walked right into it. They got hurt. They recovered. They walked into danger again. And when asked why, they simply said that work needed to be done. One more question, said. If you could live your life over again, would you choose a different path? A safer path? A life without snake bites and broken bones and hard labor? Thought about this for a long moment. He looked out the window at his fields. He looked at his wife, who had been with him for over 40 years. He looked at his granddaughter, who was studying to become a scientist but still came home every summer to help with the harvest. No, he said finally, I would not change anything. This is my life. These fields are my fields. That sky is my sky. The good and the bad, they all go together. You cannot have one without the other. Nodded slowly. He was beginning to understand humans. They were not brave in the way that warriors were brave. They were something different, something more fundamental. They were stubborn. And stubbornness was learning, could be more powerful than any weapon in the galaxy. That night, Commander called an emergency meeting on the ship. The whole crew gathered in the main conference room. There were scientists and soldiers, doctors and diplomats, all of them confused by what they had learned on the planet below. Stood at the front of the room. Behind him, a large screen showed images of the Park family and their small farm. Next to the images were medical scans, biological data, and historical records that the team had collected. We have a problem, began. Our fear assessment protocols are not working on humans. In fact, I am starting to think that our entire understanding of this species is wrong. Lieutenant stepped forward. She was the medical officer, and she had spent the whole day studying the data from her scanners. Her eyes looked tired and her voice was troubled. The old human Park should not be alive, she said. By every medical standard we have, his body should have failed years ago. He has been bitten by venomous snakes at least 5 times. He has broken bones that were never properly treated. He has been exposed to dangerous chemicals from farming for over 50 years. He has arthritis, heart strain, and early kidney damage. And yet he worked in the fields for 11 hours today, said Science Officer Krill. I watched him through our observation equipment. He woke up at sunrise. He repaired a fence. He fed animals. He dug irrigation channels. He moved heavy bags of rice. He only stopped when the sun went down. Then he ate dinner and went asleep, ready to do it all again tomorrow. A young officer in the back raised her hand. Maybe he is unusual. Maybe most humans are not like this. Krill shook his head. I have been researching human history and biology all day. This human is not unusual, he is typical. Human history is full of examples like him. Humans have survived ice ages, famines, plagues, and wars. They have lived in every environment on their planet, from burning deserts to frozen mountains. They have been attacked by predators, poisoned by plants, and infected by diseases. And they just keep going. There is more, added. Humans do not just survive these things, they adapt to them, they learn from them, they get stronger. She pulled up a new image on the screen. It showed a human in a medical facility, connected to machines. This is a process called antivenom treatment. When a human is bitten by a venomous snake, doctors give them medicine made from the venom itself. But here is the strange part. To make this medicine, other humans must first be injected with small amounts of venom. Their bodies learn to fight the poison. Then their blood is used to help others. They inject themselves with poison on purpose, asked one of the security guards. Yes, they call it developing immunity. Some humans even build resistance to venom by exposing themselves to tiny amounts over many years. There is a human named Steve who has been injecting himself with snake venom for over 30 years. He believes it has made his immune system stronger. The room was silent. Everyone was trying to understand what they were hearing. Krill continued the briefing. It gets worse, or better. I am not sure which. Humans keep venomous animals as pets. They have competitions where they handle dangerous snakes. They have jobs that involve working with deadly creatures every day. Some humans actively seek out dangerous experiences for fun. They call it thrill-seeking. That is insane, whispered someone in the crowd. That is human, said quietly. I am beginning to understand them. They do not ignore danger. They do not pretend it does not exist. They simply refuse to let it control them. They face it. They survive it. And then they go back to whatever they were doing before. He turned to face his crew directly. The Galactic Council's fear assessment is designed to identify species that are too fragile for space travel, species that would panic in emergencies, species that would freeze when facing danger, species that could not be trusted to function under stress. Humans are not that species, said. No, they are the opposite. The question we should be asking is not whether humans can handle the dangers of space. The question is whether the rest of the galaxy is ready for humans. This statement hung in the air. The crew looked at each other with uncertain expressions. Pulled up more data on the screen. In the past 24 hours, I have researched human military history. They have fought wars that lasted for years, wars where millions died, wars with weapons that could destroy entire cities, and they kept fighting, they kept building, they kept surviving. Their planet has experienced 5 mass extinction events, Krill added. Events that killed most life on the planet. Each time, some species survived and evolved to become stronger. Humans are the result of billions of years of survival. They are optimized for one thing above all else, not dying. Nodded, and here is what concerns me most. The old farmer today, Park, he is not special among humans. He is not a soldier or a warrior or a leader. He is just an ordinary farmer, an ordinary human living an ordinary life. And he has survived things that would kill most species in the galaxy. If their ordinary civilians are this durable, said slowly, what are their soldiers like? Nobody wanted to answer that question. Made his decision. I am changing my recommendation to the Galactic Council. Originally, I was going to suggest that Earth be classified as a protected planet, a planet of fragile beings who need our help and guidance. And now, asked Krill, now I am going to recommend that we approach humans very carefully, very respectfully, and that we never, under any circumstances, give them a reason to see us as enemies. He looked out the window at the dark planet below. Somewhere down there, an old farmer was sleeping peacefully, ready to wake up at sunrise and do another day of impossible work. Somewhere down there, billions of humans were living their lives, facing dangers every day and refusing to give up. Humans are not brave, said. Bravery means overcoming fear, but to overcome fear you must first feel it. Humans do not feel fear the way other species do. They feel it, but they do not obey it. They acknowledge danger and then ignore it. They get hurt and then heal. They fall and then get up. What do we call that? Asked. Thought for a long moment. He remembered what the old farmer had said, about how pain comes and goes, about how work must be done, about how complaining does not change anything. I do not think there is a word for it in our language, he said finally, but I think the humans have a word. They call it stubbornness, the refusal to quit, the refusal to stay down, the refusal to accept that anything is impossible. He turned back to his crew with a serious expression. Write this in your reports, mark it clearly. Human classification: do not underestimate, do not provoke, do not threaten. And if someone does threaten them, asked a young officer. Remembered the scars on the old farmer's arms, 5 snake bites, maybe 6, and he had kept working. Then I feel sorry for whoever is foolish enough to try, because humans do not give up. They do not surrender. They just keep going until the threat is gone or they are dead. And based on what I have seen, they are very hard to kill. The meeting ended. The crew went back to their stations, and high above the sleeping Earth, the alien ship hung in the darkness, its commander thinking about an old farmer and his rice fields and what it really meant to be human. The next morning, Commander returned to the Park family farm. The sun was just coming up over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The air was cool and clean, and somewhere in the distance, a rooster was calling. Found already awake and working. The old farmer was feeding his chickens, throwing handfuls of grain while the birds gathered around his feet. He looked up when he saw the alien approaching and gave a small nod of greeting. You are awake early, said. I did not sleep much, admitted. I was thinking about our conversation yesterday, about you, about humans. And what did you decide? Was quiet for a moment. He watched the chickens eating, their heads bobbing up and down. Such simple creatures, such a simple scene, but nothing about humans was as simple as it appeared. I decided that my people need to learn from your people, said. Not how to be stronger or faster or smarter, but how to keep going when everything is hard, how to face problems without running away, how to live with pain and danger and still find reasons to wake up every morning. Finished feeding the chickens and wiped his hands on his pants. That is a strange thing to say. We are just farmers. We are not teachers. You are more than you know. The way you live, the things you accept as normal, these are not normal for other species. Your granddaughter told me that she wrote a paper about snake venom for her university. She studies deadly creatures for school, for fun. This is not how most species think. Is a smart girl. She will do great things. I believe she will, and I believe many humans will do great things. This is why I came to talk to you this morning. I have a proposal, a formal proposal from the Galactic Council. Appeared in the doorway of the house, holding a tray with tea and breakfast. She walked over and handed a cup without asking if he wanted one. He had learned not to refuse her hospitality. Came outside a moment later, her hair still messy from sleep but her eyes alert and curious. She sat down on a wooden bench near her grandfather and waited to hear what the alien would say. Took a deep breath. The Galactic Council has decided to offer Earth provisional membership. You would have access to our technology, our medical knowledge, our trade networks. In exchange, we ask for something unusual. What do you ask? Said. We want humans to serve as advisors, not soldiers or workers, but advisors. When our species face dangerous situations, when our people want to give up, we want humans there to show us another way, to show us that giving up is not the only option. His eyes went wide. You want us to teach aliens how to be stubborn? Yes, exactly that. You have something that most species in the galaxy have lost. You have the ability to face impossible situations and keep trying. This is valuable, more valuable than any weapon or technology. Looked at his wife, looked back at him. After 43 years of marriage, they could communicate without words. A slight raise of the eyebrow, a tiny nod of the head, a whole conversation in a moment of silence. This sounds like politics, said finally. I do not know anything about politics. I understand, but I am not asking you to make decisions for all of Earth. I am asking if your family would be willing to continue talking with us, to help us understand humans better, to be our first human friends. Spoke before her grandparents could answer. I have questions too, many questions, about your technology, about other planets, about how the galaxy works. If we help you understand humans, will you help me understand aliens? Yes, we will share our knowledge freely. This is part of the agreement. Then I want to be involved. This is the most amazing thing that has ever happened to me, to anyone. I cannot let it pass by. Smiled at her granddaughter's enthusiasm. Then she turned to with a practical expression. If my granddaughter is going to talk to aliens, she will need to eat properly, and rest properly, and not stay up all night looking at stars. Can you promise to take care of her? Felt a strange warmth in his chest. Even now, even facing a representative of a galactic civilization, this old woman was thinking about her family first, about food and rest and care. I promise, he said, we will take care of all of your family. Good, nodded firmly. Then we can talk more, but first breakfast. You cannot make important decisions on an empty stomach. This is the rule. They ate together in the small kitchen of the farmhouse. Rice and soup and vegetables and fish. Simple food, prepared with care. Found that he enjoyed it more than any meal he had eaten in years. After breakfast, led on a walk through the farm. He showed the alien his rice fields, his vegetable gardens, his fruit trees. He explained how he knew when to plant and when to harvest, how he could read the weather by looking at the sky, how he could tell the health of his soil by the color and smell of the earth. This is my life, said. This is what I know. Politics and space and aliens, these things are new to me. But this land I understand. I have worked it for 50 years. I know every stone, every stream, every tree. It is beautiful, said, and he meant it. There was something peaceful about this place, something real. Tell me something, said. In your travels, have you seen other planets like this, other farmers like me? I have seen many planets, many species, many ways of living, but I have never seen anyone quite like you. You are unique. Laughed, a dry sound like rustling leaves. I am not unique. There are millions like me, billions. All over this planet, people wake up every day and work hard and face problems and keep going. We are nothing special. We are just humans. Shook his head. That is exactly what makes you special. You do not realize how remarkable you are. You think everyone is like you, but they are not. Most species in the galaxy would have given up long ago. They would have built walls around themselves. They would have hidden from danger. But you walk out into your fields every morning knowing that snakes might bite you, that the sun might burn you, that your body might fail you. And you work anyway. What else would I do? Sit inside and wait to die? That is not living, that is just waiting. They reached the edge of the property, where a small stream marked the boundary. Mountains rose in the distance, green and misty in the morning light. Birds sang in the trees. The world was peaceful and beautiful and full of hidden dangers. Stood beside the old farmer and looked out at the landscape. He thought about his report to the Galactic Council. He thought about the words he would use to describe humans. He thought about the future, when humans would travel among the stars and meet other species and change the galaxy in ways no one could predict. "I have one last question," said. "Ask." "If you could give advice to other species, to beings who are afraid and want to give up, what would you tell them?" Was quiet for a long moment. He watched the stream flowing past, the water clear and cold. He watched the mountain standing tall against the sky. He watched the world going on around him as it always had, as it always would. "I would tell them what my grandfather told me," he said finally. "Fear does not plant rice, and rice does not plant itself. There is always work to be done. There is always a reason to keep going, even when everything hurts. Even when everything seems impossible, you wake up, you stand up, you do what needs to be done, and maybe tomorrow will be better. But even if it is not, you wake up and do it all again." Nodded slowly. He understood now. This was the secret of humanity, not strength or intelligence or technology, just simple, stubborn refusal to quit, just getting up every morning and facing the day, no matter what the day might bring. "Thank you," said, "for everything, for the tea and the food and the conversation, for teaching me about humans, for showing me what it really means to be alive." Shrugged his old shoulders. "You are welcome. Come back any time. The door is always open, and there is always more tea." They walked back to the farmhouse together, was waiting with fresh tea and rice cakes, was writing notes about everything she wanted to learn about the galaxy. The chickens were scratching in the yard. The dog was sleeping in the shade. And somewhere high above, a silver spaceship hung in the sky, its crew preparing a report that would change how the entire galaxy thought about a small blue planet and its stubborn, impossible, wonderful inhabitants. Looked around at the simple farm, the ordinary family, the peaceful morning. He added one final note to his assessment file. Classification: human. Status: alive. Approach: with respect. Warning: do not underestimate. They are small and soft and easily hurt, but they do not stay hurt. They do not stay down. They just keep going. And that makes them the most dangerous and the most admirable species I have ever met. He put away his device and accepted another cup of tea from. Outside, the sun rose higher over the mountains. The rice fields glowed green and gold, and life went on as it always had, as it always would, one stubborn day at a time.